Okay, so it has been a while since I played this, but I think I still remember the fighting mechanics and the quests, and this is not at all how I remember the game. This is how I remember it. Hi everyone and welcome back. Today I would like to make a case of why you should try this possible hidden gem of a game called Dofus. Trust me when I say this is quite unique and worth at least hearing about it. That is unless you're French.
Bonjour! Bonjour.
In that case, I probably don't need to make you aware of anything. But hey, even if you are French, grab yourself a quiche and enjoy this. So when coming up with this video idea, I was considering in how much detail I should get for the game, but I think a brief history of it would make sense. The year is 2004. You boot up your computer and hope your mom doesn't need to call someone so your internet won't drop while you play your online games. But what choices do you have? It's only September, so World of Warcraft is a few months away. You load up RuneScape and you are enjoying it, but you think to yourself, man, this game is great, but I would like to try something that is more strategic with the fights. Or at least that's what I imagine, as I've never actually played RuneScape, so I know mostly nothing about it. Let me know in the comments if you'd like to see me try that in the future. Maybe you just finished watching Naruto and YouTube is not yet a thing to create a Linkin Park AMV for it, so instead you would like to play a game that would allow you to feel like you are in one of those anime fights. As such, you would like to play some MapleStory, but then you think to yourself, man, I bet in about 20 years the owners of this company will introduce shady practices with gacha systems that don't even have the rarest pulls in them, so you decide not to play. But then what can you play? You scan through the internet one page at a time and randomly see some images of a game with cute graphics, so you're like, okay, let's see what this is about. This game was Dofus, a game created by Ankama, a French game company that saw the likes of Final Fantasy Tactics and Fire Emblem and went, you know what, I'll make my own tactics game, with cartoon graphics and online. Now, the reason why I said earlier that if you are French you'll probably know about this game is because whilst this game is quite niche for anywhere else, in France this franchise is insanely popular still. How popular, you ask? Well, so popular that in 2019 it reached the 12th rank of most profitable French companies. That would put it above companies such as Orange and even Dior. But hold on a minute, that doesn't sound right. Most profitable based on what? Pure profits percentage? Profits amount? I did not plan to do this, but this sent me a bit on a rabbit hole. So this information was taken from the Wikipedia page of Ankama, but there is no link to the reference for it, so I thought fine, let's check the article manually, but I spent quite some time and couldn't find it anywhere. I then checked a few different statistics for the year 2019 and I couldn't find Ankama in any of them, so maybe I was doing something wrong? Okay, so this link was surely taken from the French wiki for Ankama, so let's check that one. Same thing. From the looks of it seems to be pointing to a newspaper called Libération and the article from 2019 on 16th of December. Fine, let's check that newspaper for its archives. I looked manually for that name throughout all of them, but couldn't find it anywhere. I'm not calling out the person who wrote this, but can you please update the reference to provide more details, as I'm quite curious. What am I even doing right now? I'm getting so distracted. Anyway, let's get back to it. You'll just have to believe me, this franchise only became more and more popular in France. Unfortunately, this did not translate too well outside of France. So Dofus, not Dofus, is their first proper game. What exactly is it? Well, in essence, what makes this so unique is basically that it's an MMORPG that is tactical turn-based. Let's start from the MMORPG side. Why am I calling it that? Well, nowadays you have up to 19 classes to choose from that each feel unique. You get classes such as the healer, also known as Eniripsa, which is aspirin backwards, a luck-based class called Enotroph, which is backwards for fortune, time-bending class which is called Xeller, and a summoner class called Osamodas, which backwards is... Okay, Ankama, we need to have a word here. What is up with those names? By the way, I probably should have mentioned this before, but I am in no shape or form sponsored by Ankama for this. Now, if someone from Ankama watches this, that is not to say I would mind. Right, so you have such a big variety for classes that it may be overwhelming at first. I'd highly recommend checking the difficulty levels and start with an easy one if you intend to try yourself. For this video I went for the summoner class, as that's the one I tried when I first started and it's a good class to showcase what the game can do. So in this game you do a variety of things that can get you experience to level up your character. The maximum level is 200, which sounds like a lot, and to be fair it can be, but there is no rush to reach the end level, as part of the beauty of the experience is the leveling and exploration. Each level you gain 5 points, which you can spend on different attributes. The main attributes are intelligence, which is represented by fire, strength, earth, agility, air, and chance, water. There are others such as vitality, which increases your health by 1 for each point, and wisdom, which mainly increases the amount of experience you gain. A few years ago it used to be the case that each class had 1, maybe 2 attributes they could focus on, as their spells only dealt damage scaling with those attributes, but an update made it so that every character can focus on either of them, as each one has spells from all attributes. This to me proved to be fantastic, as it allowed you to play your class however you want it in whichever combination you prefer. I think that's great. Now, one issue you may have having so many classes is that they may end up feeling too similar. In my opinion, this is not the case for Dofus, as each class has their own playstyle which seems quite unique. For example, you have the actual Sadomaso class of the game, Sacrier, which deals more damage the lower the health is, and he has spells that can make him reduce his own health to that end. Another class, Shram, focuses on being invisible and setting traps, which basically changes the whole playstyle of the fights. Instead of going in full orc style, you have to play like a ninja. This one is for all of you Shaco players out there. This class should be right up your alley, especially in PvP where you can annoy your opponents so much with it. Yeah, of course this game also has PvP, but we'll get into that in a bit, don't rush me. What else makes this game an MMORPG? Well, the MMO part. You can create parties, you can join guilds, you have markets where you can buy items you need or sell items you don't. You can become professions such as a tailor, where you craft items or have other players give you materials so you can craft the items for them. There are quite a lot of things you can do to interact with people. Okay, you can create a party, great, but what can you do with those parties? Well, that's a silly question. It's an MMO, you're going to do dungeons of course. Come to Dofus, we have bosses such as Milka, Splinter Cell, and even SpongeBob. Let's go through a dungeon to show you how the combat actually works in the game. You have ability points and movement points. Each ability requires a different number of ability points. Your turn comes, you summon a global face up and end your turn. You wait for it to be your turn again while you possibly watch yourself get bashed with no way of stopping it, and if you are lucky to survive, it's your turn again. The type of spells you choose and the class you play influence the way you play so much. In the case of the summoner, you obviously want to use as much of your summons as possible. This one can get quite complex quite quick, as you have to use different summons for different uses. You want a tank, you summon the sheep. You want a fast moving one, you summon the Dofus mascot, a tofu, look at him, he's so cute. You want a poison, not poison for the French out there, you summon a toad. You want to be able to heal your party, you go AFK for a few hours and watch how to train your dragon. Did I mention that each attack you do adds a charge for your summon up to 3, where your summon becomes more and more powerful and the spells it has also changes? Oh, and if you get 4 charges, you yourself turn into that summon. Yeah, so there's a lot to consider, so expect that until you learn the spells, the timer will run out and you'll be left going, no, I was just about to cast that spell. This is fun though, would probably work well as a mobile game too. If only someone would make such a game but for mobile. The fact that the fights are on a grid style allows you to calculate your position quite precisely. And trust me, you will want to be precise, as the bosses can be quite challenging. Just look at how menacing SpongeBob is. You do not want that beast next to you. Or maybe you are playing as a Sacrier or a furry and you do want to be close to a SpongeBob.
I've got the beast in my sack.
The World of 12, or at least that's how it used to be called due to the lack of foresight regarding adding new classes. Anyway, the World of 12 is yours and you can choose your own playstyle. By now you probably already saw how nice the graphics are. They did not go for the realistic style but for the cartoon-ish style, and it works so well. This is in fact one of the reasons I decided to do this. Recently Ankama updated the engine, as it was previously using the Flash engine and is now using Unity. Have you ever had that moment when you play a game you used to play as a kid and in your head the game looked amazing with such realistic graphics, but now you play it and it's so pixelated you go, Did it really look like that? Well, that's this game. I can actually show you because this game released a separate version called Dofus Retro, which is the old version released in 2004, playable today, so I gave it a try. I'll use the intro from the Dofus Retro to talk about the story a bit. Let's see it. Dans ce monde, il existe 6 talismans pour tu... okay, wait, that's French. 6 dragon eggs, the sacred Dofus, are stolen from their protectors. And if that, the elements air unleashed, monsters sharpen their fangs, adventurers brandish their weapons, and there is joyous carnage. Ut, the time has come. Our destiny notates you to Incarnam. Who's your path as a knight, a healer, or a summoner? End the Dofus and become the hero the world has been waiting for. Okay, well maybe it's not the most optimized version I've ever seen. It's actually quite buggy from the limited amount of time I played, but it was still a blast from the past to be able to play this, as it makes you appreciate how far it came. Anyway, so the story summarized: dragons exist, they make eggs. These eggs offer the person who has them a lot of power, and they are called Dofus. You start an adventure and find those eggs to hopefully use them for good. The dialogue in the game, whilst not narrated, is quite funny and worth reading for the most part. However, if you don't care about the story, don't worry, you can basically skip it anyway. If you do want the story in more details, don't worry, I'll get into that in a bit. The silliness in this game can be found everywhere. As serious as the combat can get, the developers definitely had fun in all the other aspects. You want Warcraft? You have Warcraft. You want anime? You have Hunter x Hunter. I wonder if people will say his name should be pronounced Unteri Unter. Throughout this video you might have noticed the music in the background, but instead of background, I want to put it in the foreground for a second. Why? Because this game has some amazing music. Ever since the release of the game I have been enjoying the soundtrack. This is definitely not a game you want to turn the music off in. In fact, let me shut up for a second to show you a few different examples of what I mean. You know those videos titled 1000 hours of Minecraft music to fall asleep to? Someone needs to make one, but with Dofus music. The developers clearly knew that these songs are too good to go away, as with every major update of the game the music did not go away but just got changed a bit. In this latest Dofus 3.0 upgrade they also upgraded the music to a full orchestra from what it sounds. Now, I know I got through so much of this script without even mentioning one very important part for some in MMORPGs. There is a reason for that though, and that reason is quite good. I have never been good at PvP in this game. But if PvP is what you like, this game is the perfect PvP game. Why? Well, you can queue up for 1v1, 2v2 or 3v3 arenas where you fight against other players and earn experience and rewards. I cannot really say much about how balanced this is, as I've never been good at it, so chances are that if you like PvP this will be very fun for you, as it can get quite tactical with the combination of spells and the style you need to play depending on who you go against. For example, if you're a Crow, which is a ranged character, and play against a melee character, you want to keep your distance, but if your Crow is a mid-range playstyle and you go against a long-range Crow, you might still want to maintain a closer range than they feel comfortable with. This is not the only way to do PvP in this game though. The Dofus world has two major cities called Bonta and Brakmar, with Bonta being the angelic looking like city, whereas Brakmar is the devil counterpart, with the cities looking like the average Eastern European cities. After reaching a certain level you can choose your allegiance, which basically makes you able to attack the opposite faction if you see them on the map, or you might get ambushed by a few of the opposite faction and just get stomped. Life is unfair sometimes. This is quite similar to the Horde and Alliance factions on PvP enabled servers in World of Warcraft. But wait, there's more. This game obviously has guilds you can join, with each guild being a part of a bigger alliance on the server. The fun part is every guild can leave these Hercules centaurs called Perceptors on random maps that give passive income to the guilds in the form of loot from each fight that happens on that map. Now, you can either leave it in a god-forgotten land or somewhere highly valuable, so enemy guilds can decide to group up and attack it. Fear not, as you will get notified that the Perceptors are being attacked and can join from anywhere you are at the time. Round 1. Fight. You think I'm done with the PvP? Well, I'm not. There are also Alliance vs Alliance wars, where alliances can basically take certain areas of the maps for themselves, I believe. This leads to alliances battling each other for that territory at certain times, and that itself is just a huge war zone. I don't even know how many players can be maximum, but it's definitely more than 50 from each alliance. It gets crazy during these. Now, this is a bit more complex than that, but for the sake of not putting the PvE viewers to sleep, I'll end it here by saying there's a lot of PvP options for people who like it, and it seems very well done. I do have to note one thing about this game, which in a way is frustrating, but in another way it helped it survive for so long, which is the monetization. For the game to survive this long with constant visual upgrades and updates, it needs to have money coming in, so how does one do it? Well, the monetization in this game is monthly subscriptions. The price is very fair compared to other games with this type, and there are no annoying expansions you need to buy every few years on top of the monthly subscriptions, which is a huge bonus. If you are tempted to try though, it's absolutely free to try, as the first area of the game and part of the main map is completely free. I can even say you could easily get to level 40 or 50 nowadays just by staying within that area, as a recent update just increased the free-to-play area. This all sounds great, but still, a big part of me would have really wanted to be able to play on the go while engaged in various businesses. And guess what? You actually can. This game has a version that is completely separate and is released on mobile called Dofus Touch. This game is absolutely free and you can explore the whole map and do whatever you want there, as there is no subscription model that is required to explore everything. This one has yet to be updated to Unity and is made by a completely different team, so the spells will be quite different alongside with some parts of the map changed. However, this is not where it ends. In fact, this is where the madness begins. You don't want to play it on the phone, you just want a different version of Dofus that happens years in the future? You have Wakfu, the game. You don't like the exploration but you like the idea of the grid-style turn-based fights? Fine, you have Waven. What? You don't want these turn-based fights, you want just a card game style? Okay, you have Crossmaga. Oh, not the type of card game? You want more like a Slay the Spire style? Fine, you have one more gate instead. Oh, your eyes are tired and you don't actually want to play any video games at all? Fine, have it, but as a board game. Go play with your friends. What? You don't want to play at all? You have enough? Fine, go watch it then in the form of Wakfu. Just listen to this banger opening. On a side note, why do French cartoon/anime companies always make such good songs? Now that's a reference I'd be surprised if anyone knows. Oh, you don't want a series? You just want to explore more of the Dofus story and the universe in the form of a movie? Fine, here's a movie too. Does the movie have too many frames per second? Oh, I'm sorry, maybe try one of the mangas from both Wakfu and Dofus instead. I could honestly go for hours probably going into each game, but for now I just wanted to show you the sheer madness that this company creates. Its unique art style can be found in all pieces of media, so regardless what type of game you want, the chances are you can find one that suits your style. But let's dial it back to Dofus. I hope with this video I at least got some interested in this possibly hidden gem, as it's definitely worth checking out in 2025, where a lot of games seem to be made only for profits and feel so soulless. It's a breath of fresh but 20-year-old air which you can give a try without losing anything but a few hours if you don't enjoy it. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk though. If you stuck with me until the end and enjoyed this, I want you to know that I'm summoning the subscribe button face up and ending my turn. Your move. That's all for now. I'll see you in the next one then. Bye!